Welcome back, everybody. Today I wanted to talk to you guys about some of my initial trips that I had when starting Turo, so that you guys could get a couple of tips from the beginning of my Turo journey and hopefully not make the same mistakes that I made when I first started. So let's get into it. So in a lot of my very first trips, the guests had constant questions about everything to do with the rental. Things like, where's the charger in the vehicle? Where can I park the car? Do I just leave the keys in the cup holder? Where am I supposed to pick it up from? A lot of questions that could just be avoided if I would have added a initial message at the beginning of the trip. So what this helps with is it makes sure that your guests knows every piece of information that they need to know before they have to get to the rental and as soon as they have to drop off your car, so that you don't have to deal with any annoying messages while they're on their trip or when you're trying to sleep in the middle of the night, and they don't have to be annoyed by having to send you these messages for information that honestly you probably should have provided in the first place anyways. So first tip, always have an initial message in your trips so that your guest doesn't have to deal with any extra hassle than whatever they already have to. Another early mistake is the cleaning problem that no one warns you about. You would assume that customers would take care of the car as their own, but you'd be surprised how many guests return the car with dirt all over the floor, grass, things I don't think I want to mention on here, and random candy wrappers and stuff everywhere, and some sticky spots that I definitely don't want to mention on here with zero shame. And now the solution to this is for you to either let that information be known in one of your initial messages to the guest, where you need to let them know exactly how you want your vehicle to be cleaned upon return, or have that in your listing before the customer even books the vehicle. So not only does this help you with explaining that to the customer and hoping that they actually pay attention to you, but if they don't for any case, then that allows you to show it to Turo and have them reimburse you for whatever cleaning you need to get done with that car. Which in turn, yes, it does mean that if you do not have these things on your listing or on your trip messages, you will not be reimbursed for these situations, which very much sucks, and please avoid, because I had to learn the hard way, and that means that you guys shouldn't have to. Moving on from there, and probably the biggest mistake that I've ever made, and hoping that you guys never have to deal with, is not taking enough photos. Now, one of the first trips that I had in my Turo journey was a vehicle that was one of my Chevy Impalas. I no longer have the vehicle, but that's besides the point. One of my Chevy Impalas where the seat was perfectly fine before the trip went out, and when the car came back, the seat wouldn't go down or up, and you could very clearly see that somebody had messed with the seat and it was not repairable anymore and needed to be replaced. The problem here was that I didn't take photos of the side of the vehicle where the seat controls were, so Turo had no evidence in order to reimburse me for it. Avoid this by taking as many photos as you can of the vehicle before the car goes out. So I like to take at least 70 photos per car that I let go out on a trip. I also think that's a little bit overboard, but you never know what kind of claim the customer is going to come back with afterwards, and it's better to be safe than sorry. So whatever you feel more comfortable with. I've had some hosts only do 50 photos per car. I've had some hosts only do 30 photos per car. It all really depends on how comfortable you feel with your vehicle, or how nice you take photos of your vehicle, and how much you believe that that will cover you if anything happens. But I just like to cover all of my bases, take photos everywhere that I can, so that I don't have to deal with anything whenever the time comes that a claim has to be dealt with. So lastly, I wanted to give you guys a couple of quick tips that I just thought were very helpful at the initial stages of my Turo journey that aren't necessarily as big as the other three. First thing is keeping a spare key with you at all times. There has been countless times when a customer doesn't return a car on time or needs it to be picked up, and it will save you the charge from Turo on the tow service if you just go pick up your own vehicle yourself. And you can't always rely on the guest to leave the keys, and you can't always rely on the guest for everything else. Hopefully you can. Hopefully you live in a nice enough spot for the guests to not be very, very mean, but sometimes you have pretty bad guests, and you always want to have that spare key in you just in case. Second tip is to make sure you have extras in your glove box, chargers, a couple napkins, maybe even a water bottle, just so that your guest feels a little bit more comfortable with the rental when they are on their trip. Next thing on the list is automating your messages. Now, Turo has this really cool feature where they can make your messages automatically send at a certain time during your trip. Now, this is really convenient for you because it means that that initial message that we had talked about previously can be automatic the moment that the customer books the trip, which is the most likely time that that customer will check those messages. So have those automatic messages set up so that you don't have to be running around and checking every single trip the moment that it books, and it will save you a lot of time on a bunch of other things as well. And lastly, don't be afraid to be friendly but strict about your policies with your vehicles, whether it be the cleaning into your vehicles, not having pets in your vehicles, no smoking in your vehicles. No matter what you do not want to deal with at all whatsoever, you have to be strict about them, but also be kind about them. Try to find the best way to talk with your customers about it, and just make sure that your customers are aware of how you feel about things, because not only will it help you with some nice customers that just need a little bit of guidance, but it will also help you with Turo in the long run in case you ever need to be paid for whatever it is that happened during their trip. So those were a few tips and trips that taught me the hard way, but I'm glad I went through it because it means that I'm able to help all of you guys with your future Turo trips. So if you've already started hosting, make sure to leave comments down there to explain what your tips are for a good trip. And if not, I hope this video helped out a little bit to ease your anxiety on starting off your Turo journey. On that note, I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and if you did, maybe you should check out a couple of my other ones where I explain a little bit more about my Turo journey. Should be somewhere around here. Thanks. Bye.